Hi there, Jeff Teper from Microsoft, and I am thrilled to share with you our latest updates from Ignite on Teams and SharePoint and so much more. First, I want to thank everybody who's been a part of the community events over the years. We have the best community in tech that's sharing the latest roadmap and best practices and connecting people. And the aMS events have been an awesome part of that. So I'm so excited to see you doing it again this week and grateful to be a part of it. So please do thank the meeting organizers and speakers for putting on yet another amazing community event. If we think about the mission of our team, it builds on the mission of the company to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And our role is to bring them together with a hub for teamwork that integrates communications, content management, business processes, and more at work, at school, and at home. And so that's what we're trying to do with Teams and SharePoint and so much more. And if I think about the transformation we've been going through in the last couple of years, there was a lot of focus on streamlining collaboration, breaking down organizational silos, but COVID forced all of us to accelerate our progress. We did it in our product and services. Many of you did it in your organizations. And so I'm really excited about the improvements we've made in the product and our guidance for hybrid work, because a lot of these changes are permanent. Even as we go back to the office, some or all of the time, we're going to work very differently. And I think it's going to be a lot better for both companies and individuals. So we're very focused on the transformation that comes with the hybrid workplace. And we're very grateful for the adoption that all you've put in us. Since we launched Teams in about 2017, it's now grown to over 250 million users around the world, active users, depending on it for chat and calls and communications and so forth. And that's incredible. And it's been connected to all the other services in Microsoft 365 and SharePoint. Hopefully everybody knows I love SharePoint, and SharePoint powers so many different experiences, including Teams. And SharePoint has now grown to over 100 petabytes of new content that's coming into the service each month. So that's incredible. And as I think about that, and I'm reminded that we built that together. When we launched these collaboration tools, when we brought them to the cloud in 2008 at the SharePoint conference, we announced that. 2011, we announced Office 365. We transformed SharePoint, transformed Teams, transformed for hybrid. All of your feedback and support let us tune and adapt and invest the product, hundreds of data centers and so forth. And so for some experiences that have been around for a little while, it's amazing to see that Teams, SharePoint, and more have grown 10x in just the last 5 years. So thank you. We're not resting on our laurels, as hopefully you all saw at Ignite. I can't wait to be back in in-person events, but this Ignite was our best yet in terms of product news in the productivity space. I had a really hard time trying to figure out what subset of the content that I pull in for the aMS event. So excited to share just some of the things we announced with you in the next few minutes. So first, Satya teed it off with the experience we're calling Mesh for Teams that we'll be introducing next year. Not just avatars and existing 2D meetings, but 3D immersive experiences with all the communication and collaboration capabilities ultimately coming into the metaverse from Teams. And so very excited about that. And we look forward to getting that out to you next year. But we also continue to make huge progress in today's Teams experience. I'm really excited about some of the things we're doing on basic simplicity in the UI, adding labels to buttons, giving people better control over meetings, addressing feedback like the ability to hide your video and lighten up your appearance, and much, much more. Just a ton of things we're doing everyday delighters in feedback and Teams. And of course, that's not just meetings, that extends to chat as well. We're integrating business data in chat and increasing the information density with a compact mode for chat. And then as you see here, just continuing to make expression of fun and emotions in chat that humans are naturally to do, just even easier with all the new icons, for example. So one of my favorite things. But we're also making sure that this works across organizations. So we've introduced something called Teams Connect that will be in preview next year, early next year, where 2 or more organizations can set up shared channels and not just share the conversations in their respective user experiences in Teams, but also the content. So both Teams and SharePoint natively support this shared channels concept, which I think is unique in the industry. Again, it's sort of, we're bringing together communications and content management in a way where nobody else is doing that with Teams Connect. As we keep going, we want to continue to make sure Teams is extensible for the collaborative business processes and applications you build. So the ability to add apps and tabs and bots and so forth. And one of the things we highlighted is the ability to have these adaptive cards in Teams that are much more interactive for business applications so people can truly stay in the flow of the work. We're making this work with a lot of different systems, but excited to show how much you can do with Teams and Dynamics together. In fact, this is just the tip of the surface of some of the things we've talked about this past Ignite with Dynamics. The ability to not just have these biz apps in Teams, but also have team services in the Dynamics applications. One of the things we're excited about is transforming call centers for a 360 perspective on customer contact management. And for that, you want to bring Teams experiences into the Dynamics application. So we're very excited that we'll be rolling that out to help truly transform how companies work. And we know this is something people want more broadly in lots of applications. So the underlying way we're doing it is that platform that powers Teams, Azure Communication Services, will be available for other apps to integrate calling and so forth into their experience and connecting into Teams client users. So ACS is a very powerful part of our extensibility story, and we announced some updates there. If we transition from communications to content, so Teams to the SharePoint-oriented world, one of the biggest things we're focused on is making sharing more simple than ever. Hopefully you all know we have a common sharing experience on all the operating systems, including Mac Finder and Windows Explorer, Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive, et cetera, but we're continuing to enhance that experience with making it even easier to do the basic things like switch between collaborative link sharing and a read-only view, being able to see who already has permissions to the content and more. So a big focus on sharing powered by OneDrive, including the great new Add to OneDrive experience that's now going to be part of Microsoft Teams. We keep going on OneDrive. We've done a lot of work, as you all know, being cross-platform, but we're really taking it to the next level in the Mac. We've done files on demand for the Mac. Now we're doing known folder move, where you can pack up your documents, your desktop, your pictures, et cetera, from your Mac. It's the native folders you use. It roams through OneDrive, and you can get access to it anywhere. It's both an end user feature, and it's also an IT powerful feature for reliability and governance and so forth. So a lot more to come on the Mac for OneDrive. And the next thing I thought I'd share is the work we're doing on video. So a lot of you have asked us for more collaboration and compliance capabilities on videos, both Teams meeting recordings and stream videos. So we're building those on SharePoint. So SharePoint's the most flexible content management system in the world, and we're letting you put those Teams meeting recordings by default into OneDrive and SharePoint. So you hit record, it's going to go to your OneDrive, and everything you'd expect that's you use OneDrive is right there. In fact, that's exactly how I'm recording this now. I'm using Teams, hit record, it's going to my OneDrive, and then I'm going to share it all out with the meeting organizers. But there's more. We've done a lot of great work in collaborative applications, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, et cetera, built on the SharePoint storage architecture. You've heard us talk in the last year or so about the Fluid framework that breaks down application boundaries for heterogeneous content component collaboration. That Fluid system is powered by a new storage layer in SharePoint. And so we are so excited at Ignite, we announced the next step in this, that the application for all this is called Microsoft Loop. It's a workspace canvas. You can use standalone. You'll be able to use it in Teams and so forth. And it lets you, in an engaging and fun way, edit and work on these components, all backed by SharePoint, all the compliance and collaboration and governance. And then these components can be worked on in Outlook and in Teams for even more friction-free work between communications and content management. So excited to get the first steps of Microsoft Loop out to you and then work on getting the workspace out next year. If we keep going, one of my favorite parts of the Ignite news was the work we're doing with Microsoft Lists. Sometimes we get questions about this where people, how does this relate to SharePoint Lists? It is SharePoint Lists with a bold new user experience and flexibility, so you can get to lists in the standalone app, in Teams, in SharePoint. It really, like we've done with files, powered by SharePoint all over the place, we're doing it with lists as well. And boy, what a big set of announcements we've got in terms of the new card view, the Android apps coming. But my favorite is what last year at Ignite I called Project Nucleus, which is the ability to have massive lists offline with incredible performance. The web UI, the PWA UI of Microsoft Lists talks to this cache that uses tech from OneDrive and SQL. So you can get blazing fast performance on hugely large lists, something that SharePoint fans have asked us for a while. And I think this is really a breakthrough in that. If we keep going, of course, we're going to do more and more to bring communications and content together in a unified experience. We've been doing that since the birth of Teams. We're going to take that to the next level with templates that span Teams, SharePoint, and much more. So you can build a repeatable process that includes meetings and channel conversations and documents and lists, Power Apps, and templatize it all up for maybe like a sales team, and then let people provision these templated-based teams over and over again with a tailored set of experiences you want built on both Teams and SharePoint. But there's more. We're going to continue to enhance the SharePoint user experience to make it easier to build gorgeous sites, simpler than ever, but also navigate and find them. And one of my favorite additions we've done in the last year or two is the SharePoint App Bar that is part of every SharePoint. Let's get you back to the sites and files and so forth in your documents without having to remember paths and so on. Or we're adding list support to that app bar so you can navigate all your lists across all your sites from one place. And so you'll never lose your car keys ever again in the SharePoint world. It's all right there. And so that's just one example of many where we're improving the SharePoint experience. Next part of it is we've done a good job of bringing files into Teams and lists into Teams from SharePoint. We're really proud of that. But hosting the page has sort of been a second-class citizen because you couldn't edit those pages with inside Teams. And I'm really excited to say you now will be able to do that. So if you've got a team where you're using SharePoint pages for communicating exciting updates, creating dashboard-like things, welcoming new team members, all sorts of things these published pages are really great on, you can both create and edit and consume those all within Microsoft Teams. So we're really excited about that. And again, sign of more to come. If we transition up on top of the base Teams and SharePoint capabilities, we're going to talk about SharePoint Syntax and Viva here. SharePoint Syntax is, we announced it last year. We released V1. Lets you use AI and human workflows to organize content and enforce business processes around them. It's sort of a value-added layer on top of SharePoint for AI-powered business processes. And so at Ignite, we announced two things that I wanted to do for years. One is sort of content assembly, doc assembly, the ability to take chunks of content and build repeatable content processes out of them, like RFPs or so forth. And then take a crack at a specialized solution there that people have asked us for a long time. They do a lot on SharePoint, but we're making more out of box, is contract management. And so we're really excited to see what you think of the content assembly and contract management parts of SharePoint Syntax and more that we're doing in that product. Okay, now on to Viva. Hopefully you've seen in the last year we've communicated Viva is our new employee experience platform. it builds on top of Teams and SharePoint and Yammer and Stream and more. Viva includes 4 apps: Insights, Learnings, Topics, and Connections. And Connections is very much sort of in the spirit of what we've been trying to do with SharePoint, which is bring all your information together in a single place with a streamlined UI. And we thought we'd give the top of the intranet, if you will, or the landing destination, a special name. So we're calling it Viva Connections. And with the rest of Viva, it's now generally available. So you can see the simple new mobile experience. We've got a desktop version as well. Again, all the feed brings in things from SharePoint and Yammer. The apps can be SharePoint pages with the SharePoint framework, and Power Apps and other things you build cards to with the SharePoint framework. So very, very excited about all the work we're doing on Viva in general, but in particular, Viva Connections is really, I think, a big leap for us. And whether you're new to Microsoft 365 or have been following SharePoint for a long time, Viva Connections is the next big step. The other member of the Viva family that's powered by SharePoint is Viva Topics. You create these special pages, much like you organize your information in a wiki, but we've got AI to suggest topics and content to you. You, of course, curate it and customize it however you want. But the thing we announced at Ignite was making sure that you can see topics in the flow of your work. We think that's going to get people to get more value out of the knowledge they mine in their organization and encourage more curation and creation of topics. And so here we're showing it in Outlook, but it's coming to Teams and Yammer as well. So a lot more to come on Viva Topics. And then last, just an enormous set of IT governance, compliance, controls, insights, et cetera. I don't have time to take all of your time to make this session too long to cover that all here. There's other sessions on that. There's a great blog post from Sesha Mani and the OESP team on that. I just wanted to highlight one thing, which is data access governance. There's a common set of questions that people have asked us over the years, like, tell me about where all these sharing links are and who's got access to them and many more things. And so we're going to give you a lot more visibility and control of that under the umbrella of data access governance. This complements everything we're doing with things like information barriers and data classification and protection and data residency and multi-geo and on and on and on. Not everybody has to use all those tools, but we talked to a lot of organizations, be it banks or financial services, that they're really indispensable for their governance in the cloud. So take a look at what we've announced on data access governance. And I just scratched the surface of all the things we shared at Ignite. So do check out all the sessions at aMS. A lot of MVPs, regional directors, sort of been deeply involved and are ready to share more details. We've got a number of the sessions online and Ignite. And I am, again, sort of so very grateful for all the support of the community around the world, and special thanks to the aMS team for organizing this amazing event. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in person again in the future. Take care.